I don't necessarily hate the bowl game scenario. I think you just got to move the portal until after the season. Because teams will still get to participate in a postseason game where you're able to develop younger cats more and everything else. Because the portal, with the portal being open right now, it makes all these bowl games like as far as like gambling goes and picking these games very hard because you don't know who's playing.
Right.
True.
But I don't. We're kind of a victim of the criteria. It's like, how do you know who's the most deserving and who the best teams are? Because how do you argue an Indiana team or an SMU, especially with Tennessee getting whipped?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, how do you expand it and make it better? Because at the end of the day, you see which teams, like if you look at the NFL, the teams who have now, obviously the Chiefs wiped that away, but when you guys beat the Ravens in, what was that, 2019, but any team who has a bye week, you always wonder when they're in the playoffs, did having a bye week hurt them? Like having that much more time off. These 17 to 22-year-old kids are getting like a month off to prepare for these games. And you see which teams handled the urgency, handled the focus better, because I'm sitting there watching, I was texting with Jack about it too. I'm sitting there watching the Tennessee game, and I'm thinking in my head, I wonder how many of these kids actually give a fuck that they're losing right now. Because the portal's open, because of the NIL and everything else. To me, you just see the teams that handled their business for those 4 weeks and kept that focus going on. Because you're sitting there, you're looking at Oregon, Arizona State, Boise State, and Georgia, where it's like, hey, it could be a benefit that these teams got to play in the first round because they're not having so much extra time off. Like by the time these teams play who had the bye week, it's going to be what, 5 weeks? 5, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Like it's somewhere like they're going to have a lot of time off. And handling, again, we talk about just having one bye week with the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
And these kids are having all that time. Like keeping that focus is going to be hard.
There's always a double-edged
like I feel like
sword.
the product, it's not like these games might be closer. Like you look at like Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina, who could have deservingly been in the playoff and made it a lot more spicier. Yeah. But it's very hard to kind of dictate. The one thing I do think needs to change is you just take it, the 1 through 12 teams. The top 4, it would have been Texas, it would have been
Texas, Oregon,
Penn State. And they just have their bye weeks, and then the rest, you're having more. Yeah, you're having more of those teams duke it out.
I like expanding it, whether it's 4 more teams, and I like starting it. And I haven't put a whole lot of thought in this because we're 2 days since like the first playoffs have been played.
Yeah,
but it seems like they really didn't have it all figured out or put together. Because if you go on the other side of like, hey, having the most deserving teams in, it's like how are you calculating all that, and then the snubs get even bigger. I think you make it a little bit bigger. As soon as the championship weekend is over, that next week is the first round of the playoffs. You're playing the next week, and those first teams have their bye, and so on and so forth. So you're playing all through December, and you're finishing the season in the middle of January like it is right now.
But what about the smaller schools like this WAC conference and all them other conferences? They don't get a bowl? Like, they don't get a chance?
Go ahead. We can keep bowl games for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's all right. Keep them in.
I like that. That's what I'm saying. You got to give them something.
Yep, Cheez-It Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, whatever you guys want. You can have that.
I like that idea.
But I love the idea of the playoffs being played at the college stadiums, the teams who deserve it.
True. I like
that. If you're Oregon, these teams showed out.
If you're Oregon, you're traveling.
Of Ohio State.
If you're ASU, you're traveling. It's like, you want that home game. You want that home game feel. You want to feel like Ohio State or Penn State.
Hell yeah.
Where you're like, come into our fucking house and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because this morning I was talking to a couple of Tennessee fans, and they're like, Ohio State is the worst fan base I've ever been around. Yeah, and a part of me is like, I fucking hate Ohio State. But also it's like, now you Southern people know, hey, Big Ten goes fucking hard. And you
Yeah, it was all orange.
Tennessee did take over, but
I mean, they fans why they took over, but in the game, they got smashed.
That ain't happening.
Can you imagine a playoff game in Nebraska? Middle of December?
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
It'd be nuts. It would go crazy.
They ain't got shit going right now.
I like the idea. I like the idea of having all the playoff games played at home stadiums. Yeah, and then obviously have the national championship at the Rose Bowl. Have it at the Rose Bowl. Have it at a prestigious, like old school BCS game. That's just my thought. That's just
you expand to 16, like those teams won't be getting a bye week. They'll be playing home field advantage.
Yeah, like you said. Yeah, I like that. That may happen.
Yeah, I mean, because you would like to see. South Carolina was hot at the end of the year.
They was hot.
You can see if Bama, Bama's was on the outside screaming about it too. You can see if Bama takes care of it. You can see Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's out there tweeting every game.
Yeah.
Except for that Tennessee one, that's when he got a little quiet.
It all came together for him if Tennessee would have just done anything. But Reliant Quest
trophy
Bowl.
game.
Trophy game of the week. Reliant
Let's
Quest Bowl.
go ahead and talk about it. Alabama favored -11 versus Michigan. Over/unders 43.
Yeah.
Half the teams are opted out. Portals going to the draft.
Alabama's got 13 players in the portal. Colston, Loveland, Mason, Graham, Will Johnson for University of Michigan not playing. They declared for the NFL draft. I think the big game changer in this game is Jalen Milroe deciding to play. I think when you see Illinois' quarterback, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he does a good job kind of being a dual threat quarterback a little bit, but it's nothing compared to Jalen Milroe.
No.
Jalen Milroe's got incredible numbers. I think this is a game where you look at Alabama and you're like, yeah, like they'll probably handle business here. I'll take Michigan plus 11, but Michigan seems like they're focused on 2025.
Yeah.
It seems like they're like, we got our quarterback. They're working hard in the transfer portal. They know where they lacked last year coming off the national championship win is we didn't get guys in that we had to get in to replace the holes of losing 18 guys to the NFL draft. So I think the huge focus is really on let's get the players in so we can make a big run, an actual run at a possible playoff spot, a Big Ten championship next year, and kind of get back to what we were doing a couple years ago. So I don't like it. I don't think a lot of Michigan fans like it. I'll take Michigan plus 11 though, because that's where my heart lies.
Yeah, I don't like the Big Ten in these matchups this week.
Yeah, I don't either.
I like Bama -11. I think Jalen Milroe, he's the X factor. I also think Alabama has more depth than Michigan does.
Yep.
So I'm
Even though half their depth left. Like they have 13 players going. It's just crazy. Your backup running back who's a stud.
But we don't know if they were
Ohio
like
State and
the
Michigan are
key
fighting over it right
guys.
now.
I think there's guys that, like you said, backups.
I'm going Bama -11.
I'm taking Bama too. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's probably the right move. It is. It's like even when I talk to Michigan fans, they're like, "Who fucking cares?"
Yeah, you got
Like,
Davis.
You guys beat Ohio State.
We beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
That was essentially our Super Bowl this year.
That was it.
We did it. It's
Yeah.
like, let's get to next season, see what Sharon Moore is all about. Get this Bryce Underwood cat in here. Get these other cats from the transfer portal and try to make a real run for real. Imagine if Michigan could turn back on throwing. That'd be crazy. That'd be cool, huh?
Yeah, I got Davis Warren quarterbacking this week, right?
Yeah, 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Let's move on.